Honestly, custom LoR is just enjoyable. So these are custom card submissions. It's fun to look through them, and some of them are pretty sweet, and some of them make literally no sense. I looked through them a while ago. Should we do top this month? Because the last time I was here, it was like, it wasn't much more than a month ago. I think it was like a month and a half or 2 months. All right. The one card Ionia needs to be viable. The only way. Start of game, draw one of me if all your cards are Ionian. Place your deck with an actual deck. Come on, what are you going to do with 40 Ionian cards, really? I get what they're going for. I think there's definitely, like, there's something better there. Because, like, the joke of, like, Ionia bad, you know, do something else. I think there definitely could have been slightly better execution on the second half. Deny... So, instead of deny, this guy printed allow. Cast all spells and effects that were denied or negated this match. Obliterate all types of deny everywhere. And it's at all 5 speeds, including skill speed. I prefer this flavor, you know. This one's pretty close. It's doing a decent amount of things right. I like this one. What does that text say? Jesus, what? Hang on. Enhance. Deny or something. Don't even know. What? Did I get that right? So deep fried. I don't mind the deep fried memes. This one's pretty deep fried. Espionage, a simple tool to mess with your opponent's next draw. Bilgewater, 1 mana burst, predict for your opponent. I think predicting for your opponent is sweet design. And it's cool that it's in Bilgewater where they have access to nab. And that's neat. I don't think that's... You guys are saying that's broken? Guys, this is not broken. This card's... You guys are saying this needs to cost more? Jesus Christ, guys. Nab from the... Oh, yeah, nab is from the bottom now. I forgot they made it from the bottom. So, yeah, it doesn't come with nab, but it's still, like, Bilgewater flavored, right? This card is fucking ass. Guys, this card is, like, really, really bad. I was gonna say they need to attach this to a body. What do you mean this card needs to cost more? Are you guys kidding? This card is literally... Like, it's 1 mana for a predict. This is bad IMO, like, really, really bad. It's good if we had it attached to a body. Correct. It's really, really bad. What is this dumbass card? What the fuck is this shit? Alright, guys. We're gonna have to have the custom card talk. Alright, guys. Here's the thing about custom cards. Okay? Custom cards are concepts for concepts. Really? That's all they are. There's some jokes. We saw the jokes at the top. You know, we at least had, you know, this one got a little giggle out of me. Espionage, when we're doing like custom cards, we don't care about like the balance of stuff. We don't care about the power level. Like this card is obviously needs to be a stronger card than a 1 mana burst. However, it's important that, you know, when it's with custom cards, it doesn't matter if it's like slightly overpowered or slightly underpowered, because that's all very superficial and easy to change. At the end of the day, if it's like a cool concept, then it's neat. And that's kind of all custom cards are trying to do. You don't design around balance? Yeah, exactly. You balance around design. Exactly. The design is like, you know, the design is like the cake and the balance is like the frosting, you know? And if you're frosting, if you have a cake where the frosting is just made out of doo-doo, then just scrape off the doo-doo, you know? It's that easy. Updating old cards to new mechanics. Reputation, I need it. I have the name. So this is another joke, because his voice line is, I have the name, I need the reputation, or something like that. That's the card's voice line. It's a humor post, guys. And I will say, I saw 2 of you guys in chat saying, man, this swim guy does just not have a sense of humor. I would like to assure you that this is very much the opposite. The problem here is that I do have a sense of humor. That's the problem. All right. Perfect for when they put Poro snacks on the top shelf. Suspicious Freljord Man. A 4 mana 3/3 last breath summon 3 random 1-cost Poros. Alright, so this is like that movie trope where there's like 3 kids and they're in a trench coat pretending to be like, you know, a grown up. So it's like Vincent Adult Man. Yeah, it's like Vincent Adult Man. Sure. If you want to if you want to do it like that. The whole point of this is that it's 3 Poros, and then when the 4-mana 3/3 dies, the Poros get unstacked. I mean, it's kind of cute. This is kind of the exact kind of thing Riot would do, to be honest. Like, the exact kind of thing Riot would do. It's like a kind of like teehee flavor Poro card. Seems strong with snacks. Oh yeah, no, I mean, if it like in a Poro snacks deck, this might actually be like quite solid. I don't actually know if it would be a problem to print a card like this at 4 mana if you weakened the stats. I just know Riot wouldn't do it, I think. The Poros is like Karibo from Yu-Gi-Oh! In what way? They're little fluff balls, if that's what you mean. This would be pretty decent at... It would be somewhere between like playable and pretty good at 4 mana. But I think it would at least be a little bit less good than it might seem. I really don't hate it. Math Professor. Alright, great. This one's another humor post. It's a 3 mana 1/2 with augment. Support, let my stats be X over Y, and then give my supported ally plus X squared plus, you know, Y squared mod 4 over plus X squared plus Y squared mod 4 this round. It's been a while since I remember what mod did. By the way, I want you guys to know, I'm not actually good at math. A lot of people are under the impression that I'm good at math because I do probabilities fast, and I don't. I do I'm not. I do probabilities fast because I have a lot of like memorizations and tricks, and I'm really good at a very narrow kind of probability. But I don't remember like half of what this shit is. Mod is basically clock. Yeah, it's just modular arithmetic. Look, listen. I know, I can describe what mod is. So, let my stats be X over Y. I mean, honestly, this is a decent humor post. I like this. It's at least like, it's doing something a little bit different. That's the thing. This isn't making me like keel over laughing, but at least it's like a joke that I haven't seen before. That's more than enough for me. All right, here we go. We're getting back into LeBlanc territory. So yeah, when LeBlanc came out, there were a lot of LeBlanc mains that were unhappy with their status as a stat stick. So there's a lot of suggestions to LeBlanc. 3 mana 5/2, attack, grant me ephemeral, and summon a LeBlanc in the back row. This is basically the same thing as quick attack, except more like LeBlanc. Like, there's a couple of differences, of course. We can imagine situations where this would be different in results than the quick attack that she has. But yeah, this is basically a more flavorful version of functionally doing the same exact thing she's doing right now. And then when she levels up, when you attack, she transforms into the strongest ally follower, grant me ephemeral, and then summon LeBlanc on the back row. I like the general direction of this. This first part of transforming into the strongest allied follower is a little weird. There will be a few board states where that will literally make her smaller, right? Way too strong compared to the current LeBlanc. Homie, this is not way too strong. This is a really great suggestion overall. I will say, this is my favorite post by far. This post hits basically every mark. I do think, like, the one thing I'm looking at is I feel like something should be changed about this, like, mandatory transform me into the strongest allied follower. That, I feel like I would change that part in some way. But the general, like, notion of this is perfect. Like, this is exactly what LeBlanc should have been. Like, 100%. If they wanted to keep this whole reputation thing, right? Oh, and then the level up is you have reputation instead of I've seen 15 damage, which of course makes sense because the I've seen no longer makes sense here. But yeah, the attack ephemeral clone thing is just a very cool spin on... It's very different from how Zed does it. Very different from how Zed does it. But it's a cool way of kind of like making the quick attack more interesting and not just literally a quick attack. She'd be really easy to rekindler. Yes, that's true, but you're not going to be playing LeBlanc rekindler, guys. Harrowing would give you a bunch of free LeBlancs. Honestly, that'd be pretty funny. It's worse versus lifesteal though. Yeah, quick attack doesn't shut down lifesteal. The one thing about this that makes it notably stronger than quick attack, the one thing about it is that quick attack is a lot more killable. If you do like brittle steel into a block or troll chant into a block or something into a block, then LeBlanc effectively dies, right? Whereas under this design, she is less, or barrier is a very common one too. Under this design, she's a lot less killable, which is another like back row champion, which would make her notably stronger in a lot of matchups. I could see a number tweak or making her level up do less be more necessary here, because in this LeBlanc, if it's not quick attack, you can kind of compare it to, it's sort of like Sandstone Tomb, right? Sandswept Tomb. I can't search. Oh, Tomb works. Yeah, it's sort of like Sandversest Grob, right? It's basically like she's like a landmark that generates a 5/2 ephemeral attacker every turn, right? Like seriously. It's that, like, you can really compare this version of her to that. You nailed that? Yeah. No, I'm actually pretty versed in German as of the last couple of days. Because she herself stays on the bench, and every time you attack, there's a 5/2 ephemeral attacker, right? Now, she's Mystic Shotable, and she's 3 mana, but that's not really a flaw on her. That's more of a flaw on this fucking card. I don't know why this is 5 mana. And she's Mystic Shotable, which is definitely a thing. So overall, this design is great. This takes what they're doing with the card and makes it more flavorful. Like, this is actually realistic. Upvote it. If I'm not signed into Reddit right now on my browser, and I'm kind of scared to sign into my Reddit because on stream, if you scroll down far enough, you guys can see like my most recently viewed subreddits, and like I go to some weird fucking subreddits. Fiora as a concept, challenging to balance. I've been on top of the meta 0 out of 2 years straight. That's pretty funny. I actually, you know, I'm fine with that. I don't mind it. It's, you know, it doesn't make me cringe. I don't know what it is about Reddit, guys. So humor is a very social thing, you know, like nobody ever like laughs out loud. You know, when you're browsing like Reddit or Twitter or whatever, and you see a funny post, you're like, you don't laugh. You like, in your head, you're kind of laughing. You slightly exhale out of like, you know, 1 or 2 of your nostrils. It's like, usually it's inaudible. Usually there's no noise. It's like maybe a tiny bit of the curvature of your smile goes up like 15 degrees total, you know, something like that. And it's just, I think I've been conditioned by Reddit. Just because, like, when I'm browsing this interface, even, you know, when we're hanging out and I'm in more of a social environment, it's still just hard for me to actually activate, like, a proper laughing response. Peace was never an option. For the rest of the game, both players rally every round start. Honk. I think I have to be missing something. That's funny. I'll take your word for it. I must just miss this one. You missed Fiora cards. Fiora as a redesigned concept. E equals MC squared. I am too far from my original concept. I have no equal. Is this void? Is this, and her tag is redesigned? I mean, Fiora is really not that challenging to balance. Literally just like make one of her 3s 2. Don't make it this 3 though. Don't make it this 3. Make one of the other 3s a 2. All right, here we go. This one's not a humor tag. 5 mana 7/7. Round start. Spend 1 spell mana. If you can't, I die. It's cute design. It's not really like, it's not like pushing the envelope. It's not leading to interesting deck builds or making anything competitive, but yeah, it's like, I mean, I always like seeing new concepts that haven't been in the game before. So it's like, yeah, it's cute. It's like you have to upkeep a spell mana per turn while it's on the board, which is an interesting design. It's shit. Yeah, guys, we're not looking at the numbers. Guys, okay. There's so many situations where you guys are always looking at the words instead of the numbers. This is the one time we're supposed to be ignoring the numbers and looking at the words. Stand behind me. Grant a back row ally +2 health and swap it with an ally. So this is interesting. A very flavorful design. It's a little flavorful. So, you know, so what swap means, to clarify. Swap swaps all targets, right? So if there's like a vengeance on the stack, you'd be able to literally, you know, replace the target, right? Like this would effectively be like a pseudo deny for stuff like that. Swap is a very like, I've gone on the record saying, like, I kind of wish they would do more with the swap keyword, because it's literally just they're basically only using it on Shen's Geithner halt, basically. But yeah, swap literally disjoints spells. You can stop spells from targeting the units you want by doing that, which is really interesting. Given the nature of swap being able to stop spells, and yeah, you can use it on attack. That's kind of the main purpose of this. Personally, given the fact that swap is able to work on spells, I would rather see the swap keyword be implemented like this in a different region than Freljord. I like this kind of design in general. It's pretty strong, by the way. Like, the ability to swap while being like a +2 is pretty powerful for a lot. It's scary because it's a good thing that will allow, like, cards like this are basically the wet dream of cards like TF and Aphelios, right? Like, if you're just trying to protect something, it's just like, it can give them 2 health and it can stop spells from targeting them. Which, yeah, is pretty scary. Here we go. Tana the Turncoat. This is an allegiance. A Bilgewater allegiance. Man, it's kind of funny. I was like, is this a neutral card? Where's the region? Where's the region icon? And I was like, oh yeah, region icons are in upright this time. This is an inverted allegiance. Yeah, Tana the Turncoat is effectively trying to be in inverted allegiance concept, which is like adorable. So it's like, it's better in a fewer Bilgewater cards deck. It's basically a 4-mana 4/3 elusive that's good when you're splashing into Bilgewater, which is like kind of interesting. I don't know if that's the kind of thing that they would want from like a design standpoint. Remember when Solitary Monk had this stat line? Well, it was 3 mana. God, do you guys remember when Solitary Monk was 3 mana 4/3? Oh man, those were the days, huh? I fucking remember. Jesus, these deep fried deny things are getting a little crazy. Quick as the wind, Navori Quickblade. 1/1 quick deck. When I'm recalled, grant 1-cost allies everywhere +1/+1. That's interesting. That sounds kind of broken, but I'm pretty sure that wouldn't actually be that broken. Yeah, I like this kind of thing. I mean, Ionia does need a reason to recall stuff. Way too good. Retreat, return synergy. Guys, you're spending a lot of mana on an extremely disruptible strategy. It's not good, but it's fun. I don't think this card is necessarily bad, but it's not like OP. Like when you look at this at first, I know it'll look OP. Like even like when I looked at this at first for like 2 seconds, I was like, oh, is that crazy? And nah, not really. But I'm not saying the card is necessarily bad either, but it's definitely not OP. Like if you spend like a lot of turns and a lot of cards and a lot of mana just recalling this 3 or 4 times, it's like it's a similar thing as like Yip, right? Where, I mean, it gets a lot of value, but buffing 1-cost allies isn't really generally a good strategy in Runeterra for a lot of reasons. Overall, this is good design. This is I would consider this like very good design. I don't think this card is like too OP. I don't expect it to be like crazy. It's really cool. You can build a deck around it. You can build a bunch of decks around it. 1-cost allies things is cool because you can build it with PNZ. You can build it with Shurima, and that's part of like why this exists, because this was 12 days ago. So part of the intention with this card design was, hey, look, we can do this with Shurima, which means, you know, we have access to the Sand Soldiers, and we make sense out of some of the Ionia recalls that exist that have just kind of never really made sense before, right? Currently, one of the problems with Ionia as a region is it has all these recalls that there's not really any reason to use them, which is cool. And this allows for a lot of those reasons without, you know, I don't think it's, I think it's balanced at a pretty good amount. I don't see this being unplayable, but I also don't see it being OP. And yeah, it can lead some credence to something like Kinko Wayfinder and Monastery. Kinko Wayfinder probably less so, but it's at least an angle you can look at the card and be like, oh, this, you know, this has some connection with that. This has some connection with that. Overall, A+. Very, very good design. Well done, Multi-21. Design contest entry, Weaver's Wall. 5 mana slow, fill your board with Roiling Sands. For the rest of the game, your landmarks can block. So, I mean, for starters, this is definitely OP, sort of. Maybe OP is the wrong word for it, but it's kind of like a better Brood Awakening. No, maybe this is, I don't know, this is weird. No, I don't think this would be OP. It would be like This is strange. Overwhelm? Yeah, it is. Overwhelm is good. Yeah, it's not OP. You guys are right. But this is like a really weird one to evaluate. Depends on interaction with Overwhelm. Presumably, the Overwhelm would do the whole damage, guys. This is an interesting card. I like it. It's cool. Oh yeah, and then like fearsome. Yeah, it's like it would have some weird interactions. So something that card games do a lot of, and something that Legends of Runeterra seems to want to do significantly less of, is basically making like unique rule bending interactions, right? This is the kind of card that would be pretty surprising for the devs to actually print. It's pretty against Runeterra design from what we've currently seen, at least. When you're playing in tournaments for like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, you literally need to like call over judges to like for like rulings. Like, does this interaction work with that? Is that legal? Like, that's a thing. Like, seriously, like the games have such complex and niche interactions because they print a lot of cards like these. And I'm pretty confident Runeterra doesn't want to do that. Blast Cone. Oh, this is a card set. Leagues, Jungle Plants, and LoR. Oh, interesting. Okay. Blast Cone. 3 mana fast, Ionia, recall a unit and its blocker. So presumably this would only work if the unit has a blocker. I'm very much guessing that that could be the only way this makes sense. So it would have to be like during a committed combat. Yeah, Scryer's Bloom, predict for your opponent. Ionia as well. And yeah, this one's balanced quite low. Because the Bilgewater Burst 1 mana one was already bad, but 2 mana you're not gonna like it's. I think predicts for your opponent's interesting, but it needs to be attached to a unit. Heal an ally 3 and give it -1/+1 this round. This is definitely, I think this is the most interesting out of the 3. I don't really like the design of these first 2 in general. But I don't really get why all 3 of these fruits are in Ionia. It's -1 because honey fruit slows you in League. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm fine with like the flavor elements. Great for Fiora. I wouldn't call it great for Fiora. Tempting Misdirection. An enemy strikes your Nexus, then dies. So it goes into kind of like the Shadow Isles. It's like an enemy atrocity, basically. It's like a 4 mana enemy atrocity. Like I atrocity the enemy unit into my Nexus. So it's kind of like a 4 mana vengeance that costs a lot of health. Cool card. I think in this case, it's a little too good. This card feels tricky to balance. This card would be, I think, quite good at 4 mana. Although, I mean, health really matters. Like, health never doesn't matter. Like, you can say, oh, if they play, like, you know, a Felios or Azir or something, then it's an easy way to kill it. And, like, yeah, that's very true. Like, it's a good way to kill, like, engine stuff. But even in a lot of those cases, even, like, small amounts of health will actually have a bit of an impact. Worse Culling Strike. Yeah, it's a worse Culling Strike against stuff like that. It's like a more flexible Culling Strike, basically. Braum can't die. Oh, this can't kill 0 attack units. Well, that's really interesting. I guess that's why. That's why. It's worded like this so that it can't kill 0 attack units. So freezing doesn't work. Yeah, you can't freeze into this. If it's got 0 attack, it actually won't die. That's really interesting. Sand Construct. Oh god, more of these. Reduce my cost by 1 for each landmark you've summoned to this game. Yuck. I think these are. So one thing Runeterra has had a big miss on are the reduce. How do you say reduce in German? Hang on. I think I can get this. Reduce. Reduct. English is a Germanic language, right? Des. Hang on. No, that's not it. Reduzieren. God, I was so close. That's not it. It's a das reduce. No, it's not das reduce. Veringer. Okay, I was not gonna get that. Okay, it's not Veringer. Schlafelhaf. Is it Schlafelhaf? Okay, I think you guys are just saying nonsense now. Aren't they all 10 cost anyway? No, one of them is 12 for some reason. But this goes to my point. Like, all right, we've got Beurtaler des Gipfels, we've got Geistkrabler, and we've got Plaza Watcher. And like, these cards have all felt like pretty big misses. Like, they don't make sense to play. They're really far from making sense to play. The way Runeterra works, like so they're trying to be giants in Hearthstone, basically. For anyone who plays Hearthstone, you know giants. I actually really like giants. Giants are sweet. They're cool design. They're like thematic. Most of them feel like they're viable in different ways, or at least I don't know if they've added more. I'm sure they have, but I mean like the 5 or 6 at the start that I'm familiar with. Like giants are all usable. They're all interesting. They feel kind of like inherently more they feel more kind of connected or flavorful because they're all, you know, they were all 8 mana 8/8s, or at least again the one at the starts were. And the identity of just like this collection of units that all cost a lot and all discount and are all slightly different. They discount in different ways. Trying to be giants. Giants worked really well in Hearthstone. They work really poorly in this game. The identity of like, first of all, the identity of beefy units in the mid and late game sucks in this game. This one is, I mean, has a keyword that makes stats do something, but it comes just so ridiculously slowly. Like, mana stops mattering fast in this game. And stats stop mattering fast in this game. And by the time you're on, like, turn 8, it's like a 0 mana 6/6 on turn 8 isn't a 0 mana or a 6/6. Because 0 mana means something different on turn 8. And 6/6 means something different on turn 8. Context, right? And then you know, this was printed lately. And this one was just like, man, I don't even know what happened here. This one's 12 mana instead of 10. And it doesn't have a keyword. No idea. And like, I know its condition is easier, so that's why it's 12 mana, but why? It's just so weird. I don't know why, like, I think it's just time to give up on trying to do giants. Like, giants, they don't really make sense in this game. And you guys are putting out Burblefish is doing something similar. I'm not saying there's something wrong with the identity of cards that discount per trigger X. That's fine, but this is a very specific way of doing that. Yetis are already a 1 mana 5/5. Yes, Yetis are already a 1 mana 5/5. Like, and Yetis aren't even that good. We don't need to do giants here. Just stop the giants. No more giants. Zillion. This is a humor post. You can't Killian the Zillion, and it has all of the keywords. I don't know why it has all of the keywords. It's also got the old tag. So I will definitely recognize that there are some elements of this joke that I'm not privy to. Like, I do know Can't Killian the Zillion. I have watched that video, unfortunately. I know Can't Killian the Zillion, but I'm not gonna read these 4 words and just like fall over laughing. What's the purpose behind these like 8 keywords? What is it about Zillion and League that makes this part of the humor? Because I'm guessing it's just, that part is just nonsense. Baguette. 4 mana 1/2. If I survive 7 rounds, win the game. All my homies hate Fiora. So baguette is the French word for bread. I've learned a lot about different languages in the last 4 days, and as a master of all Latin and Germanic languages, I too am versed in Francais. And I mean, it's just what's happening here? Is this like a character in League? Is there like a baguette? Why is this like a blue goat lady? It's not Soraka. Oh, is it? Oh, it's a Soraka skin. Yeah, it looks kind of like Soraka. That makes sense. Yeah, it is blue goat lady. I don't get this one. I think they forgot the humor tag. Ceasefire. 5 mana slow. Your opponent loses his current attack token. You lose your next attack token. And this region icon seems to indicate that it's either neutral or what is this? Ixtal? Oh. The only problem with Ceasefire, in terms of maybe it being too weak, is pretty much there should always be like better options. If you want like a slow development Punisher, if you have a decent amount of mana, there should be like stuff like Arachnoid Sentry, basically, usually stops most, if not all, of an entire attack, you know? And so there's probably not enough purpose for this card, given that. I don't mind cards that have more interaction with the attack token like that. Ivern. Oh, here we go. We've got a set. What the hell is Ivern? Is this Treant Protector? I've never heard of this champ Ivern. Must be one of the ones nobody plays. It looks like a combination of Treant Protector and Tiny. Ivern is 2 mana. I made this. Oh, you made this? Oh yeah. Yeah, Mr. Nuji. Oh, you did make this. Ivern. 2 mana, can't attack. Round end, grant the strongest ally in hand +1/+1. And he levels if I've seen you grant 20 stats or keywords to allies in hand. So it's going in the hand buff direction, which is something that Ionia does kind of like. Ionia needs, like, they have a hand buff package that's not very fleshed out, and it needs a little bit more help. So I like this direction in general. And when he levels up, it's +2/+2 instead of +1/+1, and it gives elusive to anything you summon for that round. That might be that second line. This seems potentially kind of nuts. Granting 20 stats or keywords to allies in hands is really hard. So even with some of these support cards, it'll likely be pretty hard. He thinks he's gonna have fun. Pepe laugh. You guys just watch me. You guys just watch me. Homie, I play card games for a living. You think I have a sense of fun? I can have fun doing anything. Fun is all in the head. It's all in the imagination. It's like, you know how they say, like, you know, like pain is something, suffering is optional. It's like that, but with fun. Like, not having fun is always optional. If you're in your head and you're not having fun, just go deeper into your head and you'll have more fun, right? Like, just create a room in your head, which is like a fun room, and you'll never not have fun. By doing this, you'll enjoy every aspect of your life. Demacia doesn't need no spells. All it needs is more men in army. You can use spell mana to summon units this round. Yeah, man, I don't hate it. So again, this will be another one of those things that's not really competitive, but I think it's always interesting when cards are printed that kind of like pushes the way you have the ability to play the game. Like, that's never really a bad thing unless it goes too far. Obviously, this has synergy with stuff like Stony Suppressor. It's very Demacian. You like Stony Suppressor would make this 1 mana, and then you'd have access to your spell mana without having to like do some other stuff. It's broken. Oh yeah, I guess you'd be able to like play a 6-drop on turn 3. Yeah, it would let you like curve egregiously. Yeah, that is broken. It would have to cost mana, but if this card costed mana, it would kind of defeat the entire purpose. So yeah, it wouldn't work. I think this card would have to be worded, turn your current spell mana into unit mana, basically. Remembrance does that anyway. Yes, but Remembrance is costed in accordance to that. Playing a 0 mana card that lets me play like a 9 mana card on turn 6 is unfair. That will be unfair. It doesn't have to look like a Demacia deck as they currently look. Like, it literally ramps you 3 turns. I mean, turn 3 is not even the scariest thing about this card. Like, yeah, Ledros on turn 6 or stuff like that. Like, the fact that it allows you to cheat mana into earlier rounds. Because, again, timing is why mana matters. Arcane Silo. 2 mana, countdown 20, kill all units and destroy all landmarks. When anything takes damage, advance me 1 round. That's pretty cool. That's interesting. It's kind of... It has some, there's a good amount of counterplay just because of, like, the thing is the opponent can manipulate the countdown too. Because it's when anything takes damage, advance me 1 round. So it creates a pretty unique scenario where, you know, it's, you have the ability to, like, try to, like, burn their silo early or lock them out early. And it's, like, bricked as a top deck, yeah. Like... You can compare it to something like Ruination, but Ruination is usually great when the opponent develops in. I don't think this would be too unfair. Imagine if Doomsayer was an LoR. So when I read this, I got Doomsayer vibes. I fucking love Doomsayer. I love Doomsayer so much. Doomsayer is like my favorite Hearthstone card. So for those of you guys who don't know Doomsayer, at the start of your turn, destroy all minions. And in Hearthstone, what that means is you play this, your opponent has exactly 1 turn to kill it, and it will destroy all minions after their next turn, right? Which is really, really fucking cool. Like, there's so many angles to that. It's like, it's pretty balanced. Doomsayer wasn't a healthy card. I'm sure there were some metas where it was a little too much, but it ended up, for the most part, being like pretty reactable, pretty balanced. Good. It's not a weak card. Does it include himself? Yeah, of course. Basically it's like a Ruination on a timer, which is what this is trying to be, a Ruination on a timer. It's a very different, completely different function in terms of how the timer works, but I like it. It's cool. The only LeBlanc rework we need. Oh, this is gonna be good. It's got the Eiffel Tower and everything. It's a 0/5. Support. Grant my supported ally overwhelm and +1 for each of my health this round. I've seen you deal 15 plus overwhelm damage. This is weird because it's posted as humor, but I mean the text isn't really trying to be like a meme. I guess it's doing both. Cytheria the Cold. 8 mana, 8/8 strike, frostbite all enemies. So it's kind of like Cytheria the Bold, except the letter is different. And by changing the letter, this new word is Cytheria the Cold.